the best. But I told him, okay. So he came and spent 10 days with me. And when he went back to South Korea, he was actually afraid to venture out on his own. So I tried to encourage him because he told me, he said, every time I go back and I take a different recipe, he said, somebody takes my recipe. I said, that's why I know how. Right, you need to go ahead. I said, you go ahead and, you know, I said, you go ahead and, you know, open up your restaurant. He did. Matter of fact, he opened up once, it went so well, then he opened up the second. And just before the pandemic, he's getting ready to open up. And this is pretty decent weather as well. And after then, after the pandemic, of course, he had to close all the very first. But he is that wonderful. He sent me, he sent text to four-legged friend. It is still probably the asphalt temperature should be 125. And he said, did I do you justice? And I told him, I said, yes, you did. Millions of Americans are bracing for more. The best point to the next generation across the world. Yeah. And of course, that Atlantic Beach, New York, and the rain inundated roads in New York and New Jersey, where that funnel cloud could be spotted. Further south, a confirmed tornado rips the roofs off of motels in Dover, Delaware, littering the streets there with debris. Thank you. And it was like a fight, a true fight. And the only thing that sisters in love coming straight at me. And of course, this is my grandmaster. And this is Jay Stewart. And you know he's my neighbor. Oh, really? Yes. I keep saying I'm going to call him, and I have not called him. Yes. Yes. Okay. 15 states have got to say and this is a picture when they did the play of The Face of Emmett Till. I played Emmett Till's grandmother, so that's me there. That's a powerful. It was. I tell you, I didn't. And because what happened was there was one guy that was playing, white guy was playing a part, and of course we did use the N word, and every time he rehearsed his, he went off by himself. He left the stage, and then we learned later that he said he just could not. You know, he did it, but it took a lot out of him. Yes, and of course, I found this in Missouri, passing through the state of Missouri. Stop. I love antiques. Just can't afford to buy them, and it was on the floor. And I asked the lady, "Is that for sale?" She said, "Yes." I said, "May I buy it?" Because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, "This is a great piece of art. Why would it be on the floor?" Wow. I'm talking about laying flat on the floor. I'm not talking about standing up against the wall on the floor, just on the floor. And of course, you know who those are. The soldiers? No, they weren't? Okay. No, they're not. Look close. Oh, okay. You recognize the face? Now I have to. Okay, the title to that is, what did I tell you? What was I forgot right now? It is the Freedom Riders. Ooh, and they put them on the, they put them on horses. Yes. Like the Martin Luther King. Yes. Harriet Tubman. I love the Freedom Riders. I love it. Yes. Okay. And of course, this is just a bunch of old stuff I have. But you know, this is history. This is history. Yes, this is history. Now, what about this photo? That is the photo. I used to work at Wilson's, and I was the manager at Wilson. Okay. And one day, this young man in the middle, that right there with the hat on, looking like a gangster, he had been somewhere, and he came by the restaurant. Of course, it was a dear friend of mine, and he came by, and I said, "Let's take a picture." And we took a picture. Yes. but he had been somewhere, but I can't remember where he told me he had been. And of course, everybody recognized Ruben.
Yes. Oh.
And looking over here, I had two guys came in for lunch one day, and when they walked in, of course, they got their eye. One of them said, I was behind him and said, oh my goodness, that's the Lord's Supper. And that's the way it's supposed to look. Of course, they both were black, I mean white. And one said to the other, that is not the Lord's Supper. And he started picking out, different ones in there. And he said, that's Frederick Douglass there. And he was just picking out and naming different ones. I said, oh, you do know a little history, don't you?
You said, let me educate you. I love it.
And anyway, he left. He said, yes, I do. I know a little.
Now I see you on this motorcycle. What's going on here, hot mama?
I've always been infatuated with motorcycles.
Are you serious?
And it was a customer that had come in. Hello, how you doing? Hi. Who is that? That's your daughter? Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Come on, we on camera.
But anyway, he had come to Tulsa, and he has family here. He moved to Texas. And one of the ladies, she knew I liked motorcycles. She said, oh, you should see that motorcycle that he's towing. And when he got ready to leave, I followed him to the door, and he was towing that motorcycle. I told him, I said, are you going riding? He said, yes. Are you here? He said, yes, I'm going riding. If you go riding, I said, you come back here, stop. I want you to take me for a ride.
No, you did
I
not.
was closed on a Sunday, but I had dogs here at that time. I don't have any now. But anyway, I had come to feed the dogs, take care of the dogs, and he was passing by as I was leaving. He saw me. He went down the street, turned around, and came back and took me for a ride.
Oh,
So after he finished taking me for a ride, he said, I told him, I said, I would like to have a picture on your bike. And he took the picture. And then when he came back later and he saw it, he said, may I have a copy of this? I want to take this with me. And I told him yes. And of course, these are some guys that comes in, that's me there, that's that bike. They come in every year doing the bike rally.
Yes,
From Texas. They're from Texas.
And they come in every year.
They come in every year. So that was what they brought me. Not this year, that was last year they brought. They said, we brought you something. Of course, they brought me several pictures that they had taken. And then I said, I'm going to staple this to the wall. So that was what I did.
Oh my goodness.
Like I say, it's all over.
Yeah, but
This is history.
this is history.
Yes.
This is a diverse group. You had the mayor, you've had D.C. Bynum, but we gotta have that Monroe been by, have Mayor Nichols been by?
No, he hasn't. I called him twice.
Well, we need to go.
Not only called him, I wrote him a letter.
You did.
And I saw him at a meeting.
We need to
And
have
his
come.
secretary, I guess that's the secretary, called. And he said, well, he's out of town this weekend, but we're coming. But they haven't made it so far.
That's okay. We're gonna
that's
work on that. I'm going there. We're gonna talk.
That's okay. I know he's a busy man. And this is my nephew, and he was working with me at the time of his death. It says in love and memory. He was killed in an automobile accident. And of course, that is my military wall.
Oh. Now, you served in the military?
Oh, no. Now, listen, I look nothing like her.
I know, I said, did you? I mean,
Oh,
you know, sometimes
no. Now, I have customers come in. Is that you when you
No,
were
you
younger?
that doesn't look like you.
No, I said, that's you when you were younger? I said, even if I were younger, do I look anything like that now?
No, she looks.
That's my Eastern Star sister.
Yeah, she looks.
As a matter of fact, she retired in December.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it because.
And that's
again,
Horace
honor-
Oates, who was
honor
in
service.
the
Tuskegee
Tuskegee
Airmen.
Airmen. because he lived a couple of blocks back there. And
No.
Horace been dead maybe about 10 years.
Are you serious?
Hmm.
I
And
didn't
of
know
course,
that.
that's Mr. Gibbs again.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And that's
Absolutely.
Edna Gibbs, because she was in the military also.
Wow.
And years ago that she was there.
I met the daughter-in-law, or yes, at a military celebration during Memorial Day. I
Oh,
believe so,
really?
yes.
And this is my rose, my wall of rose.
Oh.
These are people that were quite inspirational. And when I first opened up,
I love it.
yeah, and that is Jesse Harris, who that vacant lot out there that had the
Yes, okay.
he had the pig ale.
Uh-huh.
He was real inspirational. I had a heart failure, and I was in the hospital, and I had just opened up, did not realize that the two ladies I had been working with was coming in, opening up every day. And one of them called, and she told me, she said, "We're open." I said, "No, you all not." And all I could think of was getting well, because I had never been sick like that before. And I called him and asked him. I knew he wasn't working at the time. He had been working at Slicks and Muskogee, but he wasn't working at all. And I called and asked him, would he come help me until I could work or come back to work again? And he said, of course. I told him how much I could pay him, which wasn't very much. And he said yes. So I started coming down, wasn't doing any work, but just trying to build my strength up where I can stay up all day. And once I was able to stay up for 8 hours, and I told her that weekend, next weekend will be your last weekend. I'll be able to work again. I can stay up at least 8 hours. And he said, so it wasn't what he said, it was how he said it. So you don't want me to work anymore. I said, no, that's not it. I asked you to help me until I could come back. I said, now I can come back. And I went back over to the sink, started washing dishes, because that's what I was doing. And I kept thinking about what he said to me, so I went back to the meat block, because he sent orders. And I said, I didn't mean it that way. I feel bad because I can't pay you what you worth. I said, so therefore, I'm able to stay up at least 8 hours. And I started doing it myself. He said, did I ever ask you for any money? I said, no, you didn't. I said, but you come from Tallahassee every day.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm paying you, probably ain't even putting gas in your car to come from Tallahassee every day. And he said, I'm okay. I'm okay. And I walked back off. Then I went back to him. I'm still thinking. And I tried to explain myself to him again. I said, just that I feel so bad. He said, I never asked you for anything. I said, I tell you what, Jess, you work as long as you want to. And when you're ready to quit, just tell me. And he worked until about 2 months before he died. He had cancer.
Oh, wow.
And he told us, because everybody loved Jesse, he told us that when he had surgery, they got it all. And I went to the service the day of the service and come back to work, and his brother came by, because his brother lived in Missouri. And we were talking about it, and I said, we just hate so much. Everybody's so sad when we learn that cancer had come back. But you didn't come back. And he said they never got rid of it. They told him when they did surgery that they gave him I think it was 2 months or something. It wasn't long to live. And he lived like 2 years after, longer. But I think that was my assessment. May not be right. Because Jesse had been in business for so long. and everybody knew him. And as people found out that he was here working, they would come in just to see him. And he would just light up. You know, when someone come in, they come in and say, I heard Jess was here. I just want to see him.
Oh, my.
And I said, he'll be right out. And then when he come out of the kitchen, you can see his face just light up.
Oh, I love it.
And I thought, that's why he's getting a chance to see people he hasn't seen for years. That's why he does.
He made
That's
an impact
why-
on our lives.
But
Oh,
he,
wow.
that's why he doesn't want to quit. But I told him, I said, work until you ready. And he gave me a call one day, and he said, Amy, this council's kicking my ass. He said, I'm not getting no better. I said, just hang in there. You're going to be okay. Just hang in. He said, well, I can't come back right now. I'm telling you that now. I'm just in no kind of shape. I said, it's okay. It's okay. And it wasn't too long after that he died. And of course, that's Mr. Gibbs up there again. And that's Moselle Lewis over there. You recognize her. And at that time, Prince Maxwell was my pastor.
Okay.
And when I opened up, I called and asked him, would he come bless the restaurant? And he said, yes. So he came in, he gave a very powerful prayer. And of course, I put him up there because
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And of course, that's Maddie of Oklahoma Style. Yeah, we do know each other.
Yes.
That's Wanda J there. Because Wanda J got some gigs for me.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Again, we pour into one another. I
Yeah,
love
that's what she did. She tried, whenever she could use me for something or
it.
something was going on, she'd give me a call.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my sister and her husband right there.
Okay. And what's her name?
Her name is Lillian Harris.
Okay.
And she lives in Memphis. And she's one of those that whenever I get in a bad shape, and I'm going to tell you about the bad shape.
Okay.
Mr. Gibbs came in, I had been about 6 months. And he came in one night after he had closed the store. And I had a few people coming in, getting a sandwich here and a sandwich there. And so when no one else was in here, just me and him, I went to sit at the table with him and said, the people are coming in, but they're coming in out of curiosity. He said, they're coming in to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. They are customers of Billy Joe, Billy Bob,
Okay.
and Mary Ann.
Okay.
So,
Now I get it.
You get
I get it.
So they have been going to Billy Bob's and Mary Ann all the time. Your food may be better than theirs, but they are not going to stop going. They're going to continue to, patronize the people they've been patronizing all the time. He said, but if you can just hang in here, he said, for 3 years. He said, number one, right now, they don't think you're going to stay, that you'll be gone. You're not going to be here long. He said, and the other thing is, and thinking that you're not going to be here, not going to stay long. Once you're here for a while, if you can hang in for 3 years, he said, they'll know then that you're going to be here. And gradually people will start coming. He said, there come times that it's going to get real hard for you. And in getting real hard, he said, you're going to think about, what's more important. He said, but you have a good product, baby. He said, and hang in there. He said, there's going to be a time, anyway, he gave off some figure, I just say $50. You need $50, but all you have is $5. And you wonder where you're going to get the other money from. And you have no idea where you're going to get it from. He said, time's going to be hard like that. He said, but don't give up. Just hang in there. And every time things have gotten hard, and there have been a lot of times they have been awful hard, I always remember what he said. He said, hang in there.
Hang in there.
You're going to be okay. And somehow or another, stepping out on faith.
That's what I was going to say. That's what it is.
You step out on faith, somehow or another, things work out. And it comes to be, you know, whatever your plans are and the things that you have made, the goals that you set, and you keep reaching for and don't give up, it happens. Didn't have that $50, but somehow or another, I was able to stay and didn't give that $50 because I didn't have it.
And didn't give up.
And didn't give up.
33 years.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
That's a testimony right there.
Yeah, and do you remember Johnny Mays?
What is that?
That's
Yeah,
his
Johnny
picture there. Johnny Mays was the first black engineer at Southwestern Bell. Remember when it was
Yeah, I remember
Southwestern
Southwestern
Bell?
Bell having
Yeah.
the phone book, which looking up
Yes.
numbers.
Well, he was the first black engineer.
Wow.
And of course, during that time, okay, he was always inspirational too. And he used to come in